You are listening to the Work-Life Eubiosis podcast with your host, Charleston Edwards. If this is your first time here, welcome. My goal is simple, to bring harmony and balance to this world, starting with the family. There is so much more to life than the 9 to 5, and this show is designed to bring you inspiration, motivation, and practical solutions to bring balance and joy back to your life. Work-life balance is not a myth, it's a choice. Themes on this show range widely between faith, family rhythms, work, and lifestyle philosophies. You will also hear burning ladder essays submitted by our community of friends and listeners who ditched the rat race, beat burnout to pursue a more balanced and purposeful life. My hope is that this show and the stories shared will provide encouragement, motivation, and will provide some ideas that will be valuable to you on your journey to work-life freedom. So let's dive into today's episode. Most people believe that work-life balance is a myth, but I would argue that it's a choice. Choosing what to do, when to do it, and sticking to it is not easy, but it is doable. It's also simple math. Say yes to what I can achieve and say no to what is not possible in the allotted time. Getting to the place of balance has to be by design in an alignment with God's purpose for my life. With that being said, creating a balanced life is not an overnight sensation. It's a long and tedious process that is first designed and then rigorously implemented. It takes hard work and discipline, but it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as making a delicious sandwich. The majority of our society looks at work as the primary importance of life. Yes, it's important because we have to pay the bills. But when we realize that life outside of work is just as important, this mental reframe will make a lifestyle redesign easier to implement. Imagine if we had mandatory college curriculums on living a full life, growing a family, or taking care of your health. This world could possibly be in a better place. In a world of having so much on our plates, constant hurry, distractions, and 10 million meetings, it's extremely easy to get to the end of the day and have nothing to show for yourself. Too many days go wasted, and to compensate, we play catch-up at night or on the weekends when this time is meant for rest and recharging and for our families. We are trying to sandwich too much into our days. Unfortunately, we as a society have forgotten how to build healthy boundaries and rhythms. We need daily bread, not just the inside of the sandwich. We have also forgotten how to prioritize what is important and how to stick to it. We are going free-willy into every day expecting to be productive, but it's a far cry. This approach results in anger, resentment, overwhelm, and chronic stress. So where do we start to simplify our lives? How can we find the recipe to work-life eubiosis when there are so many important things that demand our attention? My sandwich recipe is not to be replicated. However, the approach of 2 pieces of bread with 1 core protein on the inside is what I would like to share with you today. The sandwich illustration is meant to be simple, so we can reframe our approach. Taste it, and maybe you'll be inspired to build your own. If we look at our clocks like a sandwich, life outside of work would be called the bread. And then our work would be the meat or the protein. And everything else is the condiments and the dressings. Work and life always play together like ham and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, and a hamburger in a bun. My recipe starts with building the boundaries, aka the bread, around what matters most, and then simplifying my work to one key theme, aka the meat. Making the bread is key to getting the sandwich right because it is the most important part. Here's my recipe with 3 core ingredients. The morning boundary is the bread. The workday is the protein. The evening boundary is the bread again. And yes, there are many condiments, and I'll explain shortly where that comes in. But let's go deeper and see what my plate really looks like. So let's start with the bread. Every day of the week, my mornings and evenings, they all look similar. In the mornings, I'm usually up before the kids. I have my quiet time, I read, I journal, I have my coffee, and then I exercise. I also take time to be with the kids, feed them their breakfast. And if this goes right, then the rest of my day goes much better. In the evenings, there's family time, there's meals, there's kitchen cleanup, and more time with family. And then there's downtime. And on Fridays and Sunday nights, my wife and I try to be intentional in having date nights or meal times separate from the kids. My mornings and evenings are personal, but they are uniquely designed to flow with my wife's routines as well as our kids. We also try to be intentional of building connection and relationship time. Of course, not every day is created equal, and we have to find our way back to this template when we are starting to drift. Now let's look at the protein. The protein is where it finally clicked for me about 5 years ago. When I experienced burnout that impacted my mental and physical health, I went on a quest to find out how to find balance and how to reignite my fire at a slower pace. I was able to implement some of this before I left the 9-to-5, so it set me up for success by the time I became independent again. So let's look at each day of the week. On Monday, I write and I research. I intentionally don't schedule meetings on Mondays. Tuesday is a client day. I pack in the day with meetings and I try to leave blocks between those meetings to recharge. Wednesday, I go into editing mode. I edit everything that I write and I start to design it. I'll take a few more meetings on Wednesday, but usually not overdoing it on Wednesdays. Thursdays, I spend the day with the kids. I don't try to work. I knock out some chores. We homeschool, or we'll do an outing. Friday, I'm back in the office, and this is my open loop day. This is for admin, emails, networking, and planning for the next week. Saturday is a continuation, but I focus on home, bills, grocery, more writing. And then Sunday, we treat a Sabbath as a family. We go to church, we rest, and we have family fun. Rinse and repeat, and we're back on Monday. Like the bread, integration is key for personal and for family reasons to remain in harmony. My wife is also self-employed, and our work days are designed to give us both dedicated time in our home office, but never at the same time, for the sake of our kids that are homeschooled. Not every day is perfect, but this is a rhythm that we've built, and it has worked tremendously. I'm well aware that this type of schedule is not going to work for everyone, but it's the principles, the approach, and the ingredients that I want to hammer home. If there is one thing to look for in this entire podcast is to ask the question, am I too busy? And if so, what can I do to simplify my schedule? With that, let's dive into the Work-Life Sandwich FAQ after a quick break. This episode is brought to you by Own Your 5 to 9, an organization committed to freeing families of the rat race and burnout. Every organization has a leader, mission, and a set of values that drives the organization. But this is commonly missed in the most important organization in the world, the family. An organization has one mission for how it will impact the world. Why not the family? An organization goes into strategic planning to align its values, mission, and projects. Why not the family? Whose Home, a strategic planning guide for families, is a workbook and a tool needed in all households. Whose Home takes a strategic planning approach with 10 guided exercises to define your core family values, family mission, and tools to operationalize how your family does life together. If your family is facing big decisions, whose home is for you? If you're considering a career pivot, whose home is for you? If you desire more intentionality and harmony in your home, whose home is for you? Create a healthy culture, not a hustle culture, at home. Visit ownyour5to9.com to claim your copy today. Okay, now that I've given you an overview of what the ideal work-life sandwich looks like, let's answer a few questions. The first one, why does the ideal work-life sandwich only have one core protein? For our approach to work, there are benefits to finding the patterns and designing the work days to focus on one theme. If you have ever read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, I would highly recommend it because it's the foundation for my next few arguments. One core protein provides clarity to the day and reduces decision fatigue. Work weeks are not to be like a Sunday drive. Put a destination in your GPS every single day and know exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. One core protein simplifies the overcomplicated schedule. Simple is not a bad word. Simple frees you up to focus on one thing. Going back to the GPS example, having multiple ending spots for one particular day can end up crashing the day. Go one place at a time. One core protein reduces distractions for anything else. If it's not part of your daily theme, block it and delete it. Do this by not taking meetings on specific days. Find 4-hour slots where you're not in your inbox or accessible via instant message, or vice versa. Choose a day to stack your meetings. But for heaven's sake, don't stack meetings all 5 days of your work week. One core protein gets you home on time. Eating meals as a family at least 3 times a week decreases the odds of kids making risky choices and improves their odds of becoming successful, contributing members of society. One core protein helps to know your limits. If you find that each day has space for more than the time that you need to refresh, start adding. For example, if I'm done writing by noon, this technique leaves me with another 2 hours of ideal productive time to add to the end of the day. Then lastly, one core protein makes you happier. There's a guaranteed dopamine hit knowing that you've accomplished something. Having that one thing that is being accomplished each day builds momentum and motivation. Just be careful when you're adding more to your sandwich to not overfill it. The next question, can I add lettuce, tomato, or mayonnaise? The answer is yes. Anything you're adding to the sandwich should be nourishing. It's imperative to remain energized in your work at your peak by sprinkling in daily walks to gain clarity, 20-minute naps to boost energy, or a networking call to improve your mood. I would advise adding these condiments daily to avoid burnout. It will also help your sandwich taste much better. The next question, how can I enjoy the sandwich daily? Mondays really deplete me. Starting requires establishing 30 minutes on the weekend to have a family meeting. In this meeting, pull out your to-dos and your calendars. This isn't just a one-time meeting, it's an appointment every Saturday or Sunday to eliminate surprises that may take over the calendar. Kids' activities, appointments, and meal planning should be at the top of the agenda. Also, use these meetings to discuss family goals, family trips, family vacations, and the dreaded subject of family budgets. Also, commit to designing the morning to where you and your partner can both own your morning routine to improve your health. This principle of meeting together applies to the workday. Create a 30-minute warm-up and a 30-minute wind-down to brain dump everything. Have a meeting with yourself to plan and to organize. A lot more time on Fridays to organize the next 2 weeks and to reshuffle the to-do list and time block your calendar. The next question is, how can I avoid making a turducken sandwich? That's more than one meat. Most 9-to-5 workers don't have the privilege of having control over their calendars and are also consistently overloaded with projects. But that does not mean that there aren't controls that you can't put into place. To start to implement in a culture or an organization, start with building at least one day of the week where everyone works offline. Fridays are the best day to implement, as most workers are also charged on that day to get into the weekend earlier. And then the open time on their calendar should be used to organize the following week. None of this is possible if you are in 8 hours of meetings a day or on a Friday. Once the meeting-free day is implemented, build in a second meeting-free day, but stay online with your asynchronous platforms and instant messengers still open. This is where you can master time blocking and shut down the distractions. The key to success is building psychological boundaries and learning to artfully say no to things that don't align with your priorities or key themes. Say no to meetings that can be an email report out or an update in Slack or Asana. Again, Friday is the best day to test out the offline work, and it just takes one person to speak up for what everyone else is thinking. Though we are now in a virtual world, let's make casual Fridays cool again. Wait. I'm an entrepreneur. My days are like a Cobb salad. What do I do? My biggest advice for entrepreneurs and freelancers is to start by also removing the 10 million ingredients and keeping your business simple. Find the one thing that you're energized by and make sure that 80% of your time is dedicated to working on that. Everything else are empty calories. Everything. Audit all the activities that drain your energy and that are not part of your core skills. Then take that list and eliminate it or delegate it to outside vendors or partners. If it is mission critical, day batch it and put it on one of your themed days. I find it easier for me to address the miscellaneous mind-numbing task to do it on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday morning. But never take miscellaneous tasks and try to do them while you're doing your deep work. After this, follow through the methods above and then time block accordingly. Lastly, choose days to work in the business and then days to work on the business. The next question, will my work-life sandwich taste different than yours? Of course. Your bread and meat will look different and taste different. We're human, and we all have different DNAs, interests, passions, abilities, and backgrounds. The beauty of our world is the diversity of the people. So as you make your daily sandwich cookbook, make it your own. Know your limits and guard your time tightly. The goal is to keep a theme to your workday and to keep a theme to your home life. Make them blend and work collaboratively with your family. The next question is, how can I make my sandwich gluten-free? Gluten can be very bad for the gut. So can saying yes to everything. Gluten is synonymous with busy. It's good, but it can be harmful. When you overcommit your calendar, it's natural to start eliminating healthy boundaries like sleep, time with the family, and exercise. The key to a wholesome life is making sure your boundaries, aka the bread, are healthy and you're getting the bread constantly. So it leaves me with the last question. When can you start eating? Well, start saying no to things that don't taste well on your sandwich, your life, or your destination. Start saying yes to people, things, and activities that align with your calling, your values, and your purpose. So I'd like to leave you with 5 key instructions in summary. Number 1, redefine priorities. Life outside of work is just as important to your health, relationships, and identity. Schedule your spare time, family time, and extracurricular time first. Number 2, redefine achievement. Be okay with moving goals and timelines and losing expectations of outcomes. Enjoy the process. Number 3, redefine time. That means the time block and remove everything else. Number 4, redefine boundaries. Start with Fridays or Mondays as the no meeting days and to work offline. And then lastly, and number 5, redefine success. Declutter the to-dos to one key thing to accomplish each day. Circle it and put it on its own sticky note. When or if it doesn't happen, don't beat yourself up. Go back up to number 2 of redefine achievement and be okay with the cycle of life. Give yourself grace and let time work for you. Thank you for listening to the Work Life U by OSIS podcast, part of the Work Life resources created by Own Your 5 to 9. I hope that you have found encouragement and a few ideas to strengthen your journey to purpose, freedom, and balance. Have you overcome burnout and found a new way of life? Millions around the globe are still at the risk of burnout and losing it all, and your story may be the one that sparks not only a dream, but action. Visit ownyour5to9.com for more information and to submit your story. While you're there, join the Work Life U by OSIS newsletter and receive additional resources weekly right to your inbox. If you enjoy this podcast, take time to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Share it with a friend or a loved one. Remember, the most important organization in the world is the family. Let's do our part to strengthen it. Thank you for listening.